Hello everyone, this is Matt from Real World Review, and today we're going to replace the front screen on the iPad 4th generation, but this will also work with the iPad 5th generation. So tools that we're going to need are going to be a PH000 bit, a pick, and a razor blade. You also might need a playing card, and you will definitely need some heat. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the iPad is off, and we're going to heat up the screen just a little bit so we can loosen up that adhesive. Next, what we're going to do is grab a razor blade and put it in between the frame and the glass so we can lift it up just a little bit so we can get a playing card or a pick in there. I generally recommend using a playing card on the iPad glass because it does crack really easily, which is why you're fixing this in the first place. One thing I do recommend is starting on the left side if you are trying to preserve the screen. However, I was going on the right side because I was not trying to preserve the screen, or didn't really care about that. But either way, what you're going to do is you're going to carefully add heat around the edges and just make sure to get in between the screen and the frame and cut through that adhesive. The only thing you really have to worry about is the right side having some of the cables for the iPad to function properly, like the screen and the touchscreen, and then the light sensors that are on the top, as well as the front camera. Everything on the left side should be fine, as well as the bottom side, though you might damage the LCD if you're not careful on the bottom side. But either way, what you want to do is just go through and loosen up that adhesive, and then when it's ready, you're going to lift the screen over to the right side. So it's going to look like this, with the bottom being on the bottom, and the right side being on the right side, and the screen being on the right side of the iPad. Next, what you're going to do is grab the PH000 bit, remove this screw right here, as well as that little metal panel that covers the screen, and these two screws right here, as well as that metal panel that covers the digitizer. Mine lifted up with that little metal panel, but what you can do is unplug the LCD and then unplug the bottom digitizer and then the top digitizer, all with that plastic pick. Then what you want to do to be more careful is remove the screw for the battery and carefully lift up the logic board to make sure that the battery separates from the board. You do not want to lift where the actual connections are because you will damage it and you will have to spend a lot of money fixing it, so don't do that and don't listen to anyone who says do that. What I ended up doing is putting the pick in just enough so I'm not touching the actual connections, but I am separating the connections from the board. After this, all you gotta do is remove the adhesive and remove any glass that's around the frame of the iPad. You want to keep doing this over and over again, getting rid of all the adhesive and the glass until it is nice and smooth and ready for new adhesive. I recommend using a brush like a toothbrush to clean up all the excess glass and some of the adhesive that is around the frame. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but you want to get it as close to perfect, and you definitely want to make sure to get all of the glass out of there so that it doesn't damage anything in the future. Next, what we're going to do is grab the new screen and compare it to the old screen. If it has these magnets, feel free to continue on, but if it doesn't, what you want to do is you want to remove these magnets very carefully, remembering where they go, and set them on the screen kind of lined up with the frame. You can use the adhesive from the old screen to see exactly where it is, but I just line it up with the iPad like this, and it generally fits in well. If you do this wrong, you will crack the screen when you put it down, so definitely be careful when you're doing that. Once we have all the new adhesive removed from the new screen, or you put adhesive on the frame, whichever you want to do, we can start plugging in the screen. I recommend plugging in the top cable right here, which is going to be the easiest thing to do. Put in the metal panel and the two screws that go over that cover, and then we can plug in the LCD and the bottom digitizer part, as well as that little metal panel that hooks in on the bottom right here, and that one screw that goes on top of it. Be very careful here because even with this panel, it's very easy for the LCD cable to come out, especially since it's going to be a replacement screen. And for some reason, this cable seems to be thicker than the original. Now we can finally remove the pick that's holding the battery out of place and put the screw that goes back in that place. Finally, we can fold over the screen, and we're going to power it on just one time or forever to make sure that the screen is working. And it looks like it is. The touchscreen seems to be working. So now what we can do is carefully line up the bottom left and the top left of the screen, making sure that it's going in the edges. And then with this little gap right here, just make sure that the magnets and make sure that the cables are going through into the iPad and that they're not getting stuck anywhere else. As long as your left and right side look good, you can push all around the edges of the iPad screen and make sure that it's sticking down. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video helped you out. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. And as always, thanks for watching.